Hi guys, so the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, introduced new measures to deal with the pandemic because numbers are increasing in Scotland and in the rest of the UK. So some of these measures are considered quite draconian, so let's hear what she had to say.
However, because of the significantly higher levels of infection in the Central Belt, we are introducing stricter restrictions in the following 5 health board areas: Greater Glasgow and Clyde, Lanarkshire, Ayrshire and Arran, Lothian and Forth Valley. In these areas, all licensed premises, with the exception of hotels for residents, will be required to close indoors and outdoors. Though takeaways will be permitted. Hotels, as I've said, will remain open for residents. Cafes which don't have an alcohol licence will be able to stay open until 6 p.m. to support social isolation. In addition, snooker and pool halls, indoor bowling alleys, casinos and bingo halls will close in these areas for 2 weeks from the 10th of October. Contact sports for people aged 18 and over will be suspended for the next 2 weeks, with an exception for professional sport, and indoor group exercise activities will not be allowed, although the current rules will remain in place for under 18s. Gyms can remain open for individual exercise, and outdoor live events will not be permitted in these 5 regions for the next 2 weeks. And finally, we're asking people living in these 5 health board areas to avoid public transport unless it is absolutely necessary. For example, for going to school or work, if home working is not an option. However, because of...
Okay, so these measures are considered by some people draconian, but I think it's not enough. We need another lockdown. I know that's not popular to hear. Not many people would like to hear it. I don't think it's something very pleasurable either, but it seems to be the only way we can deal with this pandemic. What we're doing is we're trying to do isolated lockdowns or mini lockdowns, but not complete lockdowns. And that's not going to cut it. We need a severe lockdown, complete lockdown like before, until we have this pandemic under control. The first lockdown in the UK started too late and finished too early. It was driven by politics. It wasn't driven by the science. Boris Johnson should introduce another lockdown. It'll actually be quite interesting how long it takes for Boris Johnson to follow the lead of Nicola Sturgeon. He's been doing it all year. He hasn't taken any initiative. He's waiting for Scotland to take the initiative and then he'll follow through. It'll be interesting to see how long that will take. But Boris Johnson will not impose another lockdown, not because the scientists wouldn't want him to do it. It's because he's afraid of his own backbenchers. He's risking a rebellion if he imposes another lockdown. I think 2020 should have just been written off. Instead of trying to salvage something, both politically and economically, I understand it's extremely damaging for many companies, but what we're doing instead is we're extending the damage. Instead of limiting it to 2020, we're going to see more lockdowns later on in 2021. In the spring, in the summer, because we're not dealing with it sufficiently. We're seeing more and more spikes. Once again, the lockdown should have at least been until now. And I still see another problem in the UK in respect to Italy when we compare it to Italy. Here in Italy, the numbers are not anywhere near the UK's current spike. And the government are talking about reintroducing mask wearing at all times. I see footage from the UK where the vast majority of people outside are not wearing masks. This is a small price to pay if we don't want to have another lockdown. The government here in Italy are trying to avoid having another lockdown. I think it may be necessary, depending on how the new cases continually spike. But at least we need to impose certain measures. But once again, I think we need to have another lockdown. Otherwise, we're going to just continually do this isolated mini lockdowns, which aren't really lockdowns, asking people to stay at home if they can, closing certain businesses. Closing businesses and reopening businesses is extremely damaging to them. In many cases, they would prefer to remain closed and be sure that they will be able to reopen, instead of this reopen and then a while later having to close again. Let me know in the comment section, guys, if these I know a lot of you follow the channel from Scotland, so I'd be interested to know if these new restrictions will affect you directly. Let me know in the comment section. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?